Hey guys, what's going on? Jake here. Today I'm coming at you with my full review for the LEGO Batman First Modular, the ARKHAM Asylum. Now, this is an absolutely amazing set. It retails for $300, and man, I'm just so excited to take a look at this. You know, there's some great minifigures, there's a lot of cool references and everything in the build, and I'm just going to show you everything about this set. Now, the set number for this build is 76300, and it is, of course, an 18+ set with 2,953 pieces. And man, just taking a closer look at that box, it looks absolutely amazing. And you can see on the top of the box, this build comes with 16 minifigs, just showcasing a lot of great figures across the Bat family and the Batman Rogues Gallery. On the left side, we just get another view of the front of Arkham, while the right side is, just kind of blank. On the back, it gives us the dimensions of the build, how it comes apart, and just kind of a showcase of the interior. Now, taking a look at the figures here, we're going to go in the same order shown on the box, starting with Batman. Now, this is my first time getting this version of the character. This is the same one shown in the set from last year with Batman vs. Mr. Freeze, which continues with that Mr. Freeze figure also being mostly reuse. This Batman is really nice in my opinion. I love the torso. It has extra details beyond what was on the 2012 version, and it just has some cool features. It uses a similar cape to the one they had in the 2020 sets, with that 3-pack of the capes with a swoosh to the side, a standard, and the gliding cape. Unfortunately, this set only comes with one. I was really hoping that it would come with 3 capes for Batman, Robin, and Batwoman, because they all had specialized capes, but unfortunately it's only one of each. That was probably me setting my standards a little too high. Now, this figure does use the newer cowl piece, which has grown on me a lot after the trailer for the Legacy of the Dark Knight game. It's dual molded, of course, does still look a little too chunky, but it does give you more possibilities with using faces. Now, for the face they used, I really didn't like. They used the same face they use on Shang-Chi and a bunch of other figures. I really don't think it represents Bruce Wayne well at all, but it's what we got. Now, you'll see me upgrade all these figures throughout content planned throughout the whole next week and everything. I'll be trying to upgrade every single figure in this set as much as I can. For our second figure of the set, we have our first completely new figure being the gray and black and red version of the suit for Damian Wayne. I absolutely love this figure. It's amazing. The torso has great detailing. Then for the face, you get a really nice smiling expression. And then on the other side, you get this amazing scared face, which you really could use for a custom Kyle Rayner Green Lantern figure. There's a star. Another thing you might have noticed, when I turn this figure around, is we finally get a black and yellow cape for Robin in an official form. It's absolutely amazing, and I really like it. And it is kind of more swooped to the side, but that's not bad at all. I did buy a custom cape to upgrade my older Damian Wayne figure, just so he also would get the same kind of treatment here. But just in this official minifig form, the cape is way better, a much nicer, thinner material, and it gives that figure that next level of detail. For his accessory, he comes with just a basic blade, nothing too crazy to speak about there. Overall, it's just an amazing figure. They even did the mid-legs like they did in the 2020 Damian Wayne figure. And I really like this figure. He's one of the main pulls that brought me to getting this set day one. And I'm absolutely impressed by LEGO's efforts they put here. For our first completely new figure to the theme, we have Batwing, which is absolutely amazing. He has great details on his torso and legs, with just like that glowing bat signal throughout. And man, he just looks stunning. Amazingly detailed figure. And he's in this dark steel gray color. And it just looks absolutely amazing. He also uses the newer Batman cowl, which is the same one in the Batman Forever Batmobile set. So he has these blue eyes and the dark steel gray cowl, which has a alternate face under there, being like this weird smile, which I don't really like, kind of looks awkward. And then a more scared expression, which does look better. I do like how that one looks, at least. Here he is with the cowl on back there. It looks more angry when he has the cowl on, which is cool. With the figure out the way there, you can see his jetpack build, which does get a sticker on the back, which is nice and everything, and cool to add extra details. And you get these really terrible excuse for bat wings. His name is Batwing, so you'd expect him to get bat wings, which they could have done. Could have made a new mold or something. Anything's better than the sorry excuse for bat wings. Then we have our last hero for the set, which is Batwoman. This is an upgrade from the 2019 version, which is hard to tell at first. You can see they updated the belt printing, and, you know, the whole lines on the torso is all brand new. Looks pretty good. You know, it would have been nice to get maybe dual molded legs. They've had those before on Spider-Man and the 2021 No Way Home sets with the integrated suit or the upgraded suit. I'd even take repeat printing from that upgraded suit figure. It would have just been cool to get that extra level of detail, but I understand they had to put a lot of budget into other figures getting all new printing. Sorry for knocking you over there, buddy. But this figure's still pretty good. She has a face with a angry expression and then a smiling one. It is just kind of like goggles, which is, you know, not really necessary for this figure to have printed. You could have just done the white on the white head, but it's cool they put in that little bit of effort. It is a nice figure overall, but it does have its issues, mainly being this cape. Now, I applaud LEGO so much. They gave us a red on one side and black on the other cape. But man, they kind of done a normal cape also included. Like, it's only the gliding cape, and at that, it doesn't sit down. So it's kind of, like, oddly done here. I wish they included some way for it to stay down. But it's still cool that it's included. She was specifically meant to be, you know, gliding in this set. But it would have been so much nicer to include an alternate cape. Here's a look at our back printing. Say it's a pretty solid figure. Nice upgrade over the original. Then for our first, like, villain slash kind of like anti-hero for the set is Catwoman. She has worked with Batman in the past, is part of the Bat family, but is, of course, a villain at heart. You can see it's a really nice comic Catwoman design. It isn't like the 2019 Batcave version, where it had the molded goggles headpiece from the Lego Batman movie, but they do print it on here really nice. We get the Black Panther ears done up for the mask. I do like it. It is similar to what they did with the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman in the Shadowbox set, with how they did the mask and everything. It is pretty nicely printed for the skin tone. Isn't too faded. It is, of course, like a little different than Light Nougat Brick, but it isn't too noticeable on the black. Down, you can see her torso here. I'll get her accessories out of the way. She gets a whip, you know, just the classic Lego whip, and the same piece for gears at this point. And then she gets a little, like, cat food, catnip piece. You see it says Meow Bits, has a little kitty on there with some little foods. Pretty cool piece. But again, look at the torso here. It has, like, gunmetal gray printing on here for, like, her muscles, and it shines and everything. You see her belt and this zipper all nicely done up. There's like a little cat charm belt buckle on there, which looks sweet. They add some extra details, which, I mean, I just really like this figure. But what brings it down is the legs. I get they want to, you know, let's put as many printed parts in a set as possible that they could fit inside their minifigure budget. It's just, these legs kind of just suck. They don't represent Catwoman well at all. They're over-designed. I like that. I like and applaud LEGO for putting in the effort and including printed legs for her, but it's just reused from the Avengers Tower set from Black Widow and everything, which is, you know, kind of disappointing. I really would have preferred plain black legs at that, because it just feels more slick, more simple, and what her costume really is. Overall, it's a really nice figure, and it is my first non-LEGO Batman movie Catwoman figure that I own in my collection, so that's pretty exciting there. For our first true villain of the set, we get Penguin here, including the same umbrella belt he's had for years. You know, it's the brown stick and black dish. It's simple. It works. Would I prefer the Lego Batman movie umbrella? Yes, but I like it because he had a purpose. He was gliding in the set. It just makes sense. For the figure itself, he's pretty nicely detailed. Reused the same Arkham jumpsuit torso that all the villains use in here, no matter what gender they are. So the female figures, you know, they all have the same kind of male design torso. You can also see here he gets a white neck fur piece, which is really nice. It gives him some more uniqueness compared to the other villains in this set. My main problem for this figure comes from this head. You know, you might not see it right away, but the monocle's on the wrong eye, in my opinion. It's been consistent for literally almost 20 years. The fact that now they change it to the other eye, it just messes with, you know, the OCD in my head. It's really irritating. I'll show the 2012 Penguin face right next to it. You can see the monocle's on the other eye. I like it on this eye. It makes more sense to me. I liked it being consistent. The head print itself isn't bad. It doesn't annoy me too much. In person, it's grown on me a bit. It's just, it bothers me that tiny amount. Then he has this kind of like, the face he makes when he's like, making like his penguin noises or whatever he'd be doing. I do like it overall. Pretty cool figure. Then getting out of the way, which isn't on the box, his penguins, his little robot penguins. I do like these guys. They've stayed a pretty consistent build overall. Literally 20 years of the theme. There's only been slight changes. I believe this head part is done a little differently with how they have this top rounded part. It has the same dynamite and revolver pieces, and I like them. If it's not broke, you don't have to fix it. I do really like... Oh, he's missing his tail feather. Oh, no, I forgot to put that on there. Still great figures overall. It's nice to keep it consistent, nice to harken back to old stuff. But, you know, I really liked those molded penguins they had in the Lego Batman movie line. Next up is one of my favorite figures of the set. We have Bane, who has an amazing, absolutely amazing head print. I mean, come on, that's the best Bane mask print ever. Has some nice detailed eyes. There's, like, some darker red on the outside of it. They went with a light gray for the face mask itself. I just love how it's done. Then if you take off his Venom tank on the back here, you can see he has a tube running to his head, you know, for the venom pumping. It's in, like, bright green instead of lime green, which is different than his actual tank, but it's nice. I really like how it looks. The only problem with this figure is he is in a jumpsuit, you know. I don't mind that he's a minifigure. A big fig would have been great. It's just, you know, reusing the same jumpsuits and everything instead of printing a new, at least torso for him to make him a little bit different than everyone else. It would have gone a long way in terms of the quality of these figures. You do get his, like, barbell, which is these two little ball pieces, and just a little lightsaber rod, the shorter one. Pretty simple build. There is, like, a molded version they had in the Lego minifigure series. I'll just show the guy who had it. I don't remember which series. It might have been 17. Not exactly sure. Overall, it's a really good figure. I really like this mask, and I will be making an upgraded version soon. Now we have Scarecrow, who gets only a new head. I really like it. I love the differentiation. I used to do, like, the red eyes. They had a glow-in-the-dark head in the past. But now we finally get, like, a green eye Scarecrow, and I just love the difference. The main issue with this guy, he doesn't get a hood. He doesn't get his hat. They stripped my guy.
My hair is thinning a bit.
Oh, Your Highness, I'm sure it's not that noticeable.
For his accessories, you know, he has this kind of little potion, fear gas, glass here. I don't like it. They've had the little potion bottles in the past, molded with the green and, you know, with the transparent. They've done it with the pink. You know, they've done a whole bunch of different versions of it, so I don't get why we couldn't get that potion bottle here. It feels like they cheaped out a little bit, but it's not like a terrible substitute. Next up is Killer Croc. They give him a new head print, of course. Most of these guys only have new head prints, and then the torsos and legs are all reuse. You know, the legs are, of course, really nicely detailed. I really do like how those look. But the head, though, it does feel very classic Killer Croc. It would have been nice to get a big fig, of course. I don't want to harp on it too much. I like the head print. He's going to be easy to upgrade and just make look way better. For his accessories, he again has handcuffs, and then this turkey-like piece, which has been used for a very, very long time at this point. So it's just cool to see that piece live on. Overall, really nice fig. Then we have a very divisive figure for me, which is this Harley Quinn. There's good about it, there's bad about it. Starting with the good, we get a nice little hammer build here. Nice color differentiation between the stick and the nice little stickers on each side with the Harley Quinn little diamond logos. It's cool. It's a nice accessory, but the figure is kind of lackluster. for the good, she has her roller skates from the Lego Batman movie and everything. Super nice. That's where they really lose me after that. It gets the, regular Arkham Asylum suited body. And then a really lackluster head and, hairpiece. It has the Lego Batman movie Harley Quinn hair. And man, does that not work for a comic figure? What so freaking ever. I would have preferred the 2020 hair at this point. I was really hoping that we'd get a, Harleen Quinzel in, like, her doctor outfit, like in the 2013 Arkham, and you twist it over and it would have Harley Quinn face paint, mask, and everything. But they went with a more modern take for Harley, with this kind of, Margot Robbie, more modern TV show-based Harley face print, with just a winky face, then a second face where she's blowing a bubble with bubble gum. It's like a good figure for what it's trying to be based on, but I much prefer a classic Harley Quinn in my collection. Doing this figure out of order here, just because, they put them at the end of the box, doesn't make sense to do them next to the guards after them as a last. I'll just put them next to Harley. We have the Clown Prince of Crime Joker. This is a mixed bag for me. It's just okay to me. This isn't a notable Joker figure. Uses that kind of Superman, Henry Cavill hair with the classic, Jack Nicholson face / comic Joker face, which they used on that amazing, perfect comic Joker figure from that 4+ set. The only way to upgrade it, it's that Jack Nicholson Joker hair. Absolutely amazing. If I owned that figure, I'd so upgrade it with that. That would be the perfect Lego Joker, without a doubt in my mind. But it feels here they wanted to go more modern Joker with his weirder haircuts, not so classic. The main disappointing fact to this figure for me is, since this is the Jack Nicholson Joker head, he has no alternate face. I mean, Lego, you can't print a second face. I get he needed, no back face print in that one set. Every other set should have had a face print. It would have been so cool to get a really nice new Joker face print. This would have been the best Joker face print. It's so nicely detailed. There's nice depth. It looks modernized. It looks great. It's just, I wish that we would have had an alternate face print, It would have made it perfect. Then we have probably my complete favorite figure of the set, which is Poison Ivy. She comes with a little flower accessory, which I haven't seen a build like this for a flower before, personally. It's just, one of the flower pieces on this little, I believe it's like a carrot topper. I'm not too sure. It looks nice. It's just a cute little accessory. For the figure herself, this feels like a very Hush-inspired classic Poison Ivy design. This is my favorite look for the character. Green skin, lime green suit and everything. She gets some cool leg printing. Really nicely detailed. Now, this isn't like the Lego Batman movie version where she had, like, nice dual molds and everything featured, which would have been cool. Would have been nice to add some more detail there. But this is still my favorite, even though it has less over-the-top details. This is super simple, super classic. My definitive Poison Ivy. She uses the Elphaba hair from the Wicked line and includes this little flower piece in bright yellow. Oh, it fell out there. Use a little accessory hole. You just put it back in there. Really nice. I like the hairpiece. The only problem with it on this figure is the, giant forehead it gives her. But it's still nicely done, in my opinion. For her face, she gets that first smiling expression, and then a more angry one. It looks very similar to other faces we've seen in the past. This face specifically reminds me of the Captain Carter minifig. Just with recolored and added the little parts for Poison Ivy on each side. It just looks very close to Captain Carter's angrier face, in my opinion there. Overall, amazing figure. I'm so excited to have this one in my collection. And for a figure I'm very mixed on to have in my collection is this Mr. Freeze. This is a literal exact one that we saw in that set from last year, just with one upgrade, or side grade in my opinion, is he gets the Spaceman tank in light blue. Realistically, should have been silver or sand blue, because there's silver on the torso here, for the top before his helmet, which is a reused version of the Lego Batman animated series Batmobile, Mr. Freeze's helmet and face print. Would have been cool to get something a little more unique. Not a huge deal. Specifically, what annoys me about this back tank is it feels not specific to Mr. Freeze. This feels more so like they wanted something to complete their light blue Lego Spaceman, which they did this year. It doesn't feel like they did it specifically for Mr. Freeze. It's just for those Spaceman collectors, so they buy a $300 set to get that. For the figure itself, I do like the torso here. It grew on me in the other sets. I didn't really care for this Mr. Freeze figure, but in person, I really do like its designing. Feels more unique. Feels kind of Batman 66 x like modern Mr. Freeze mix up here. He, of course, comes with his freeze gun, which is a super simple version of it, just the crystal piece and a, classic space blaster. Overall, just a pretty mid figure. For another one of the greats here, we have Riddler. Man, I really like this version of the Riddler. Might be like a top 3 next to like the classic 2012 version, which is like that classic jumpsuit attire, and the Lego Batman movie version. It feels like a nice mix between comics and Lego Batman movie. With like the question mark suit, he has a little question mark. I think it's like a pendant, whatever you'd call it. It's just an accessory for his tie, which is purple, has a black undershirt. Looks nice. Now, this is a different color than every Riddler figure. It's a bright green, so it won't work with anything. 2020 version was lime. 2017 was regular green, so you can't include his arms or legs on here to upgrade him there. 2013 had the bowling hat in regular green. It's really just a new mix-up of the character that we haven't seen in this colorway, which is pretty good overall. It's still one of the best Riddler figures Lego's ever done. Has a really nice face print. Probably my favorite Riddler face print. Feels just like that 2012 and 2013 one, just with a little more enhanced details and shines, texture stuff done to the mask, just to give it a little more depth. I do like his smile here. And man, overall, it's just an amazing figure. He has nice back torso printing with that question mark in the middle in purple and all the other ones in dark green. For his accessory, he gets a crowbar, which is just like his cane, question mark cane. I've seen custom ones on the market, which I might upgrade to. Because, man, just getting a accurate, question mark cane would be so nice, in my opinion. I'd love if Lego would mold something like that. They did pretty good with their Lego Batman movie version with the question mark molded part. But man, just to get a smaller, little compact version with a classic question mark cane would be top tier. For our final 2 figures, we have some basic guards. Would have preferred if they had more GCPD or Arkham Asylum specific gear. They're just really basic overall. They reuse the same torso from Officer, Miles Morales' dad, and that Spider-Verse set and the beginning of the year. So you could get a third guard out of that. But these aren't, crazy figures at all. I do like his face print here. Would be cool for, The Rock, for, the Black Adam variant of The Rock or something cool. They should include a little something different with this figure, which I didn't even realize till now. She's deaf. She has a hearing aid. I guess it's pretty unique, pretty neat. But, neither of these figures feel special to me whatsoever. They won't be anyone's favorite. They're just kind of generics to fill in the set. Now that we're done taking a look at the figures, we can just look at this amazing build. There's some great stuff going on here. We're just gonna look at this side build first, which is the Arkham Asylum prison transport van. Now, this is a white truck, and white stickers in Lego do have a terrible issue with having a color differentiation. It still, is a pretty cool build. Would have preferred it printed, but that's the only thing that detracts from it. The build itself is of good quality. You can see the top here has a reference to the previous Arkham Asylum from the 2000s Batman wave. You can see there's a sticker just of some damage along the sides and front. And of course on the side you have the Arkham Asylum logo on both sides. Now, taking a look at the interior of the truck, you can lift off 2 of these roof panels here. and you just kind of get a look at the interior. In the front half of the truck, you can see where you can sit your figures. You know, they just sit in there pretty simply. You can either put them in through the roof, or you can slide them in through the side. It's a little tougher to get them through the side, but you can. It is possible to put your figures in that way. And behind your guys, you of course will have your gun rack, which has two of their little guns with tranquilizers if they have to use it on, you know, the criminals and everything. Then when you move to the back side, you can see we have a little window with the prison bars, which separates the prisoner from, you know, the guards. And here is where we hold the prison bed. Now this build is pretty simple. It's not anything like crazy unique that we haven't seen a version of before. There was a version of this in the 2013 Arkham Asylum set, which also had a van and Joker and everything in there. And you can just click him into the bed. Then, of course, you can open up these back doors of the van and throw your bed in there. Now, there's nowhere for it to, like, really lock down. You can just click it in there. But I don't think it's really meant to. It kind of can just sit around in there. It's a nice build, and it's cool to have that little play feature. Now, with that side build out of the way, you can just take a look at our exterior. Now, this is an amazing set. You get a great corner. Inverted corner is what it's called. It's our very first time getting this in our superhero modular theme, and it's actually pretty cool. It does provide a little less space on your interior, but it does look nice just from like a outside perspective. The gates on this cool angle where you can just open up your gates really nicely here, and of course you have your little penguin sitting there. Getting those guys out the way. You can just see we have our little courtyard, nothing too crazy, but it's just a nice simple design here. And if you look closer in that courtyard, you can see we have our entrance and everything with these cool lights on the side. You just fold open those doors. And of course, above that, you have this cool like angel statue, which either has the Jokerized, you know, graffiti face, or you can flip it over to be like a regular angel. Now, this is my first time getting these wings piece at all, and man, is it sweet. These would be crazy on like a Hawkman or Hawkgirl figure, and I might try to use that for a custom at some point, because man, it's just a really intricate piece, which continues going back outside the gates to those cool gargoyles on the sides of the signs. These are pieces that have been in other sets. I've never owned one, and it's just really cool to see how they have done this. It's a really intricate mold, not too crazy where it looks out of Lego style, but it's just really nicely done. Another thing to highlight with this outside gate is all of our Arkham sign here is on this roller coaster piece. It's really nice, and you kind of just clip each one of these 2x2 tiles on here, which are all stickered for each letter, which, you know, it would have been nice to have printed, of course, and that's a point you can really say about a lot of things in this set, because we have like 60 stickers, which is just a little crazy for $300, but it's not like terrible. It looks nice. It's black, so it's not as noticeable. You can definitely see like the borders of the stickers, but it's not bad by any means. Another detail when you look inside the courtyard is there's this sewer plate for Gotham City with kind of like a claw slash from Killer Croc. And I just think that's a pretty cool detail they include there. It's not like a necessary thing, but it's a cool detail because they really do show a lot of like how these guys could escape through different parts of this build. Like you have Poison Ivy's vines all through that side here, which is really nicely done. They detail it really nice with different color greens, flower pieces, leaf pieces, kind of like these plant pieces. And of course you get little flowers in there. And it just looks really well done. There's vines coming from the inside that are peeling out. And it's just super nice. And it just gives the build a little more life. You can take them off if you want. I'd prefer to leave it on because it just looks amazing. And it just brings so much more life and displayability to your build. Continuing on the left side of the build, you can see where we got our windows showing up. We have like these curved ones on top, which don't have any window pieces on the inside. But on the bottom, you do get some window pieces, like the glass right there. And on this one, we do have this cool prison bar build, just because that's where all the cells are on this side. So they have that covered up so that no prisoners can escape. Another cool detail throughout this build is they include these little lights on, the inside and outside, and they just look nice. It gives the build some more definition, and it's pretty cool. Rotating us even more to the full backside here, we have our prisoner area. You can see I left a figure in here. Let's get him out to it. I was Croc. Whoopsies. Let's get you out of there, buddy. Yep. But again, looking at the back here, we get some cool references here, including a sign for Harvey Dent for you to vote for him, and some cool Joker graffiti. That's a pretty cool detail. And then if you move down, there's another reference here to just a Visit Metropolis sign, and you have like a paw print and just a little cat scratched hello there from Catwoman, of course. And then if you look on the side of it, you can even see like a Wayne Tech, I don't know, it's some kind of sign just advertising for him. Another thing about the back is how you could lift up, any of these walls, and it just shows you the interior of each cell, so you can put your figures in there. We'll get to the interior of each cell when we actually do the inside of the build, but for now we're just looking at that outside section. Another thing back here is there's a little escape area for whatever figure you put in this cell, which I do believe is supposed to be Killer Croc. That's why he was in there before. You can just either push him up or take him out of that area, and it's actually pretty nice. They don't put a floor in that cell, which is like a little odd, but it's just a cool feature. Rotating us to the corner area, you do see some more going on here. We have a keypad door for, just so they can't escape or anything, so that's the only way they're getting in. And I do like this little sticker. It says not a revolving door, which is pretty funny. And we do get some cool details in the alleyway of just a box, which you can take off, and it has like this banana guy on there. I don't know if that's a reference to something in DC or just like a generic shipping box. Another weird thing we got going on back here is there's like a water drippage from the drain pipe, but I don't get what this like whole white minifigure head and ball thing is going on. If you guys know, you can let me know in the comments. The main play feature and function of this open corner, though, is this trash can, which can pull out, and this electrical box, which you can pull out. There's a little egg piece on there, which is cool. You can lift back all these doors now, and you can see it opens up every cell for your criminals to, leave and be escorted by the guards. Something to note, though, is there is some cool things included in this dumpster. If you just take it off, you can open it up and see there's a few things. First, we have this kind of black Technic pen thing, which isn't a reference. You just connect it to the front. You take off this clay piece, and you can just snap it on in there, and that's how you can get that modular connection going on this end. Another neat reference in here is we get 4 studs and then all of the different colors of the Lego game studs, which is just a reference to the Lego Batman video game. And once you get those studs out, you can take a look. There's a comic for Batman in there, which is pretty cool. They, of course, couldn't do the first, Detective Comics issue, since they had that in the DC minifigure series, which is cool because in the other modulars for, I believe X-Men had it as well, but definitely the Avengers set had the first Avengers issue, which is a pretty cool reference to see within these sets. Another nice consistency about these sets is the electrical box, and the trash can has stayed consistent through all these modular sets, and it's just cool to see some consistency so you can have a cool city going here. Turning even more, we just have another side. Nothing super interesting on this side, no references, but there is another broken away wall, which was also in this corner area, just for your prisoners to escape or do whatever. And then for our final section of the siding, you can see we have this watchtower with this sticker that says "Smile, you're on camera," because it has these 2 cameras on each side. It's pretty cool. Of course, it has the issue Lego has with their gray stickers as well, where it has that color differentiation. And even though the color difference is bad, I do like how these stickers try to add some more detail and some more roughness and dirtiness throughout the build. A cool part about this watchtower is you can just grab it and take it off. It's attached by 2 Technic pins here. And inside you can see a panel just for the watchtower, you can see the Batman logo. I assume it's just to call Batman. And there's also a kind of red button for emergencies and a microphone just to, talk to all the prisoners and everything, just announce things, which is cool. And then on the bottom part, you can see there's a spilled cup with this kind of like green sludge, toxic kind of ooze going on. Might be a reference to Ace Chemicals. Putting that back on here, it completes our whole look at each side of the build, which brings us to the whole top half here. For the top half, we get some cool stuff, We get a really nice window display behind that statue, and it brings us to nice architecture throughout the top. Taking a closer look at the roof here, it's just really well done. There's a lot of curvature and just nice details throughout. In the whole midsection, we get this cool kind of pointedness and these nice like medieval windows, and it's just really well done. It adds some cool flair to the build, and you can see that continued throughout both sides, which have these spikes and guardrails throughout, which just look amazing. Now, for one part of this build I really don't like is these stickers on the roof. It just had some like random like damage and graffiti and stuff. I just think the stickers point out a little too much, at least to me. They do have some nice, references and details. Like you have Harley Quinn's little logos there. There's just some cobwebs and wood back here. And then going on to the back, you can see some Riddler graffiti, which, it's fine and all. I just don't like how the stickers look on there. And then if you even move it on the other side, on the roof here, you can see on the chimney, we have this Harley Quinn and Ivy reference, because they're together and everything, it's a little reference there. And then on this side, we get a penguin graffiti section. Another thing about the roof here is you get one little spotlight, which you can just kind of move around. Here, it's just able to move freely and rotate and just move up and down. Can't really go to the side or anything. It's pretty cool, though. It adds a nice little feature. Another thing to highlight about like the architecture of the roof is just I really like how they did these sections with the windows on both sides here. It just looks really good, really clean, well done Lego. And I just realized I made something wrong. You can see this piece is on here wrong ways. I can't believe I did that. Now with that fixed, that brings us to the top of the roof, where we get some more of our play features here. On this area, you get a lot of those Technic pin sections to include your flight stands and everything. You get one in this kind of smaller steam stack kind of, I'm not really sure what it is, this little box on the roof. And then you get this one on the back of the top there. We get two more back here, one on the chimney. And it's just really cool. Give us a lot of playability here. We get one on the lights. And there's some more throughout on these poles on the bottom sections. And on the boxes, they do have certain characters in certain spots. There might be certain studs or accessories they have you putting on each stand, including this like little piece so you can have Batwoman flying. You get a black stud to connect Batwing and his, jetpack flight stand kind of thing. And, of course, on the left side, you get the stand for Penguin floating down on his umbrella. It's all just really cool, and I really like this build. There's also a nice little water tower on top, which gives this build just that little bit of more detail. Now that we got the exterior out of the way, let's take a look at the first floor. Looking at this with a top view, you can kind of see we have all our cells over here, and then we got this kind of office to maximum security cell area on the right side. Starting out on the left, of course, you can see inside those cells. This one just has kind of the jumpsuit setting at the bottom. This one is the most basic one with a bed. And then this one is the one with no floor for Killer Croc to escape from. You can just lift up the bed in the middle one, flip it up like that, and you can kind of just put something under there. I don't know why this one doesn't have a, bed or anything, but it's not too, crazy or bad or anything. A cool part of this one with no floor is there's a lot of nice rock work being done, and there's also a spoon under there for some reason. Then on the whole outside of the cells part is a lot bigger than I thought. The hallway is a decent size, and you could fit, two figures standing side by side in there. And it's just a really cool way to, fit some more stuff, have your guards escorting your criminals and stuff, and it's just really cool, and I really like it. And taking a closer look at the right side here, we can see there's an inmate kind of part there, like a sign for their cell, for Clayface, a little bit of his like mud or clay on there, which looks cool. And then if I tilt that up, you have a height chart for your figures there, so you can have them stand and take a picture with this camera. You can see over here, you can see that there. Top of the height chart, there's a little bit of waves and a shark fin up there, which is a reference to King Shark, of course, which is cool. Also looking here, we have a desk, which is like on a different level than this whole entrance part, with really nice kind of checkered off flooring tiles. And it's kind of weird though, because the desk is at the same height as what you can see here. There's like stairs that go down, and the desk is at the same height. I feel like a criminal is just gonna like drop kick someone, like one of the guards just stand there, just get beat up. Another thing to notice is there isn't a chair for the guard to sit at, which is a little odd. I guess you couldn't really fit it in there, but I feel like there could have been something done. I do like how we also get a kind of computer going on over here, which has a few references, like a stand-up comedian show with Joker, and then you get some chemical compounds on there on the sign. There's also a code for the cell, which you can see over here. It's a maximum security prison cell, and it uses a cool little method with the coffee cup being the handle. You can just open up that door, and you can put a minifigure in there. Then in the corner, you can see this kind of criminal report with this red circle on it. I'd assume it's graffiti. I doubt it would be blood. I don't think Lego would be doing that. There's also the chemical compound of radium on here from the periodic table, which is pretty cool. There's also a detail on the computer screen. It just says open all doors. You can either check yes or no. It's really just a simple build in here. You can see where there's some broken floor tiles just from the escape on the back there. You know, it may be a simple build, but there is some cool stuff going on. I really like the lights, and you can see behind there, we get looks at security cameras of Joker, you get Killer Croc, and you even get looks at Bane, you know, he's like lifting, and a bunch of like static from a TV, and then man, it's just really nicely done, and there's just some cool details in this level. Another detail on the computer screen that I forgot to mention here is we get a Wayne Tech computer first, but more noticeably, we get the mugshot of Clayface, and it looks like his older version from the 2008 Lego Batman 1 video game, and it's just super nice. And the fact that we are getting a 20th anniversary set next year for the theme gets me excited at the possibility of getting a Clayface minifigure finally. Now with that first floor out of the way, let's look at the second. Now taking a look at our second floor, you can see we have our prison cells again on this left side, and a way smaller hallway. This hallway doesn't fit as much because they leave a bunch of room over here for this ladder area, which also is on the bottom floor, so you can climb up with your prisoner, which makes no sense to me. I get they couldn't really fit stairs, it's just a little goofy. Looking at the front of these cells here, they're pretty nice, you know, glass doors. You can just open them up. I really liked how these were done in the building process. It was pretty fun, and just the finished product makes it so much cooler. Looking again at these cells, you can see we get two generic ones up here, and then a specialized one for Poison Ivy, which she doesn't get a bed, which, you know, I guess makes sense if they want to fit everything here. But they do have all this foliage kind of growing in a plant. It would have been cool to see that plant from the Poison Ivy show kind of represented somehow, but I understand why they couldn't fit something pretty big in here. Looking outside of the cells here, we do get a sign that says no coins, umbrellas, playing cards, coolers beyond this point. Then we also get a picture, which I'm not too sure who it is. I'm 99% sure though it is a young Hugo Strange, which I do like if it is. It's pretty cool. Then moving to this middle section, you can barely see here, but we have a just like random coffee cup, but then two references which I'm pretty sure of. We have what is the Racer's head, which is interesting because he has had a minifigure in the Lego Batman movie minifigure series, which is cool to see that referenced here, and it's just really nice to have. Then for our final reference here, we have a owl statue here, which I'm 99% sure is a reference to the Court of the Owls. Then, as you can see here, we have a metal detector door, which was also on the first floor. There's also some more lights throughout here, which is cool, and a fire hydrant attached to that wall. And then that brings us to this hallway and office section. On the outside here, you can see the menu for, the food, which is interesting because they don't give us any areas to eat, like no cafeteria. Like in the Lego Batman movie version, we had a whole cafeteria build down there with some tables and stuff. And we kind of just get a reference to that here. There's also a phone on this wall. Pretty simple. Then moving to the side, you get that exit, which of course went to the top of the watchtower, which you can remove that roof here as well if you want that access point. There's also this part on the back here, which is some kind of drink dispenser. You can't really tell what it is. It's glowing green, so it might be whatever the officer was drinking in that spilt cup over there. I really did like this build. It was pretty interesting how it was done with the dispenser and everything. And it's just a cool little detailed build they could include. Now looking at the office, you can see we have a bunch of signs here. We have an Employee of the Month thing for Harley and Quinzel. And then right beside a Most Wanted sign for Harley Quinn, which is just a cool little duality thing there. Then on the other side, which I find weird, we have a doctorate for Hugo Strange, which is weird since we have a sign on the outside of the door for Harleen Quinzel showing it's her office, but there's a doctorate for Hugo Strange, which I guess is a cool reference, but it would have been making more sense if it was for Harleen Quinzel. Then over here we do get this couch, which you can put, your Joker figure on, and put your Harley figure in the opposing chair so they can just have one of their little meetings, which drove her mad and turned her into the Harley Quinn. You can also see they have a little teacup or coffee cup there. And behind them, they have her whole desk, which is pretty cool here. You get a coin from Two-Face. You get some other little knickknacks. If you look at the little file on the desk as well, you can see it's the file for Killer Croc. Overall, it's a really solid build-up here. There's a lot of cool details and references. Some playability if, you want to do that. You have a lot of places to put your figures. But that's really all we got for both these floors. Man, this set was absolutely amazing. Through the build process and just exploring it more through my review, I have realized how good of a set this is. I think it is truly worth its $300 asking price, which is really hard these days for LEGO. Most of the time, it seems like a terrible price per piece, but this was $2,900 and I believe $53. If I'm on the dot there, that'd be pretty epic. But man, I absolutely loved this set. Throughout it, man, I just love how, from the exterior to the interior, it's just like an amazing quality build. And man, even though the figures might be a little lackluster, I'd still say the lineup's a 7 out of 10. Would it have been nice to get more non-suited criminals, get less of them in jumpsuits? Yes, but I really like the selection we got, and there's only a few upgrades that I really see me doing to each of these. But overall, this set, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. There's just so much good about this. It's a very unique set. The inverted corner was probably the right way to go, in my opinion. Would it have been cool to get something more in the line of a regular Arkham shape? Yes. But since it's a modular, it would have ended up like the X-Mansion and been utter garbage. This is definitely the right way to go. I love how it looks on display. Just looking at it on my desk over here, it's absolutely stunning. All the details on the outside, it's all smoothed off. There's nice angles on the roof. I can't wait to put all my upgraded figures on there and just start building a whole display around it. But you guys can let me know what you think of this set and my review down below. You can tell me how I can improve my reviews, things I could do differently, or discuss things more in depth. I think I went pretty in depth here. This should be almost an hour long once it's done being edited. But man, I think it was absolutely well worth it. And I highly recommend this to everybody who is looking at buying it. This is definitely better than most $300 sets on the market currently. And it's just a very sturdy quality build, which I can't say about the Daily Bugle, which I've had the absolute pleasure of rebuilding recently when I bought my second set of it. And man, that thing just fell apart so many times. and it annoyed me so much, which just does not happen with Arkham. This is a very solid, sturdy build that just is so high quality and shows some of the best of the LEGO Group's work in terms of design and the uniqueness of the build. But again, I hope y'all enjoyed this. I hope you watched all the way through, and if you did, truly thank you so much. I appreciate this community I've built here, and the fact we've almost reached 1,000 subs is absolutely amazing. I have full hope that we'll reach it by the end of October, and definitely by the end of the year. But one more time, I'll see you in the next one.